The sole purpose of this video is to provide a basic overview and orientation of your new apparatus. This video is not intended to act as or replace individualized driver-operator training. Individual fire departments may base guidelines, policies, and procedures tailored for best practices. Pierce Manufacturing and Hughes Fire Equipment representatives are not liable for injuries caused from acts resulting from actions inconsistent with the information provided within this video and/or accompanying manuals. Refer to the Operation and Maintenance Manual for complete details relating to the components and features of this apparatus. Only trained personnel should operate this vehicle or perform maintenance. You are responsible for learning how to operate this fire apparatus under all conditions without having to refer to the manual while operating at an emergency incident. This video will discuss types of warnings and caution labels. It is your responsibility to locate and identify each of the labels and understand the importance and associated hazards. Warning labels will point out procedure that must be taken or action that must be avoided to guard against the possibility of serious injury or death. Caution labels will advise you that there is a risk of damage to property if certain precautions are not followed. Continuous training, reviewing of operation and service manuals, developing good standardized practices will assist driver operators with a more complete understanding of the components and operation of this fire apparatus. As the driver operator of this vehicle, you are responsible for understanding the function of each component of the apparatus, maintaining control of the fire apparatus at all times while in operation. Make operational and functional changes while operating at an emergency without having to read operator's instructions or safety warning labels. Operate manual override and emergency shutdown procedures immediately if a component fails to operate properly. Components location may vary with each Pierce fire apparatus. Review the exact location of each component prior to operation. Major inconsistencies between your vehicle and the information contained in this video should be directed to your sales representative. Safe operation of any vehicle is the responsibility of the driver operator. You must learn the location and function of all controls, switches, gauges, valves, inlets, and discharges. Due to a higher center of gravity, heavy trucks have a significantly higher rollover tendency than other types of vehicles. To reduce the risk of rollover, avoid making sharp turns, excessive speed, and avoid abrupt maneuvers. In the event of a rollover crash, an unbelted person is significantly more likely to become injured or die than a person wearing a seatbelt. In the event of a crash, unbuckled occupants can also become a hazard to other occupants, as they may be thrown around inside the cab. Seatbelts are required while in operation. Please refer to your warranty certificates for details and information enclosed in your manuals. Customer-installed equipment must be mounted to withstand road travel and comply with NFPA 1901. Modifications such as drilling holes or welding to structural frame components of the chassis are not permitted. Contact Pierce for instruction and review of non-structural sheet metal or other dissimilar metals for modification. Follow the radio installation guide for further assistance on installing or mounting electronics. Before placing your new apparatus into service, perform a primary inspection of key components of the apparatus, including all fluid levels, anti-lock braking systems, electronic stability control, and automatic traction control. Weigh your apparatus to ensure that it conforms to axle and brake ratings. Never exceed the gross axle rating printed on the label inside the cab. Exceeding these ratings could lead to reduced component life, personal injury, or death. Review the use of auxiliary braking systems, compression brake, exhaust brake, electronic retarder, and hydraulic retarder. Before placing the apparatus in service, refer to the operational maintenance manuals. Information on the operation and maintenance functions for the components such as the pump, pressure governor, and foam systems, along with other options, is provided in either the Pierce manuals and/or other manufacturer support information delivered with the apparatus. If you need more information, please contact Hughes Fire Equipment. Congratulations, Great Falls, Montana, on your new Pierce Fire apparatus, job number 33952. Please utilize this 5-digit job number when referencing your apparatus with Hughes Fire Equipment and Pierce Manufacturing. We'll get started on a brief orientation of your new apparatus. Let's start just under the front bumper, where you'll find 2 open-ended tow hooks on the passenger and driver's side frame rail. Just up from that location, you'll find dual air horns located in the center. Moving over to the driver's side face of the front bumper, you'll find your mechanical siren. As we move upward on top of the bumper extension, you'll find a tubbed hose storage location with Velcro straps. Moving up onto the side of the apparatus, you'll find a clearance light in the very front A-pillar. Moving just inside of that location, you'll find the headlight structure housing low and high beam headlights. The high beam would be located on the inside. Up from that, you'll find an emergency warning light and also a turn indicator. As we move up onto the one-piece seamless windshield, you have 3 windshield wipers across the windshield. Up to the brow area, you'll find 5 clearance lights forward-facing, and then up onto the roof of the apparatus, you'll find your emergency warning light bar and also your Opticom. Let's move over to the side where you'll find your mirrors. You have a convex and flat mirror. Back down to the bumper extension on the side, you'll find a side-facing emergency warning light. Let's take a look at some close-ups here. First, the bumper extension inside hose storage with a 1.5-inch swivel discharge. Moving up to the headlight structure and emergency warning lights, and then moving to the windshield all the way up to the very top to the clearance lights. There are 3 located in the very center, 2 on the outer edges. Let's move now to the driver's side door, where you'll find affixed to the door panel all of your warning and safety information. Also down at the bottom, you'll find a yellow reflective band. Moving just down into the step well, you'll find your air inlet. Let's move back inside of the cab, where you'll find this placard manufactured for your department, October of 2019, job number 33952. We'll also find your VIN number, cold tire inflation, gross vehicle weight rating, all of your components, and fluid capacities. Let's move to the seat area, where you'll find comfort controls. In the very front, you'll find the air ride system. Moving off to about the right-hand side of the seat, you'll find the adjustment for front to back. Let's move just to the rear of the seat. When plugged into shore power, the outlet will be powered. As we move now across to the very center in between the 2 seats, you'll find your battery charging system. When plugged into shore power, this will maintain your vehicle batteries. This is going to be a 20-amp outlet. As we move now to about the left knee of the operator, we'll start in the first upper left-hand corner. This is your master battery switch. Moving just to the right, you'll find the engine, transmission, and J1939 diagnostic port. This will be for your maintenance team. As we move down, you'll find your ABS diagnostic switch. In those switches, you'll find an amber indicator when the switch has been activated. Just to the right of it, you'll find your DPF regen. And then moving further to the right, you'll find an engine diagnostic switch and also regen inhibit switch. Let's move now to the opposite side of the steering column, where you'll find your pump shift. There are instructions here from pump to road and also from road to pump. For activating this device, you're going to slide the yellow collar upward toward the black handle and move the lever downward to move into the pump to road position, and vice versa. For full pump operations, you'll need both green indicators, pump engaged and OK to pump. As we move overhead of the operator's head, you'll find a push on and off red or white lens light. And then also like to look at the very left-hand corner in this image, you'll find this yellow placard indicating the height of your vehicle, 9 feet, 5.7 inches tall, your length, 30 feet, 11 inches, and a gross vehicle weight rating of 42,000 pounds. If you make any changes to your vehicle that may affect these, please update this placard. Moving just to the right of that location, you'll find your emergency master, roof light, front warning light, side warning light, lower rear warning light, and upper rear warning light.
Once again, when any of those switches have been activated, the green light will illuminate in the background. Let's move just to the right to the next set of switches, where you'll find first, starting on the left, the high beam flash, a selector switch for air horn or electric siren, your rear scene lights, driver's side scene lights, passenger side scene lights, and then the load manager deactivate or activate. To the right, we have a few future switch locations and also the location for your Opticom switch. Let's take a look at the dash area on the very left-hand side, kind of not visible in this image, but you'll find on the left, you'll find your hazard, ignition switch, and start switch. Just to the right, you'll find an emergency master switch, your headlight switch, and also a panel switch, which allows you to brighten or dim the panel lights within preview of the operator. Let's start on the upper left-hand corner with the gauges. First, starting on the left with the water temperature, oil pressure, DEF level, and water temperature. Moving just to the right, we'll find your fuel, volts, front and rear air, your speedometer, and tachometer located in the center. Diagnostic information for your vehicle will display above and below the speedometer. Let's move just down to the right-hand side of the steering column, where you'll find your OK to engage the high idle and the OK to engage high idle indicator, which is a green light. Let's move just to the right of this location of the operator's position. You'll find the pull to apply your system parking brake and push to release. It is the yellow diamond. Just down from that location, you'll find your mirror control for flat and convex, right and left. And then to the right, you'll find your Allison transmission pad, digital readout with information here, yellow indicating pump in drive. Let's move up from this location. We'll full start at the very top. This is going to be your siren control. As we move downward from this location, I would like to point out this white and red candy caned sticker. This is indicating throughout your vehicle, in this specific area, there is a wire behind this for spare wiring. Just to the right, you'll find your windshield wiper controls and also push to apply fluid. Just down from that, you'll find the engine brake on-off. We also have a setting switch for that engine brake for low, medium, and high. 2 future switch locations if necessary. Also a protected tire chain switch, which is the orange switch here in the center. And then to the right, you'll find your mirror control. As we move further to the right, I would like to point out a couple of caution information here. Please disengage your retarder when your vehicle is on wet or slippery surfaces. As we move to the right, you'll find your climate control, heat, air conditioning, and defrost. Let's move outside now. This is the driver's side shoreline inlet. It is a 20 amp auto eject plug. When plugged into shore power, your battery charging system will illuminate. That's just above it. Moving from now to the very rear section of the cab, once again, warning labels affixed to all the door panels for firefighter safety. We also have that yellow reflective band at the very bottom. As we move inside to the hinged area, you'll find a red grab handle. And as we move all the way to the very center rear section of the engine is where you'll find your daily checks for your oil and transmission. As we look overhead from this location, you'll find your air conditioning unit. Let's move outside exterior now to the pump panel area. We'll first start in the upper left-hand corner with 2 pre-connects in the upper left-hand corner. I'd also like to point out, because of those pre-connects, there is a warning label here that there is the possibility of entanglement because of those hoses. And now we'll go ahead and start with the gray module, which is directly in the center. Let's take a look at the close-ups here with number 1 and number 2 cross-lay. As we move once back again to the right, you'll find your master intake here in the gray area, and then you'll also find your master discharge gauges. These are your 2 master gauges. In between the 2 of those, you'll find your test gauge ports for vacuum and pressure. They are currently both plugged and would be utilized for testing purposes. Let's move just to the right, where you'll find your pressure throttle governor. On the left, you'll find, if illuminated, a check engine light, which would be yellow. There is a digital readout for the RPM of your vehicle. And to the right, you'll find a red, if illuminated, stop engine. As we move down on the pressure throttle governor, you'll find an orange menu button. This allows you to scroll through the various menu functions of this device. You also have diagnostic engine information across the very center. Moving to the far right, you'll find a red silence button. This allows you to silence any audible alarms that may be sounding due to your pressure throttle governor. Down in the left, you'll find the pressure RPM switch. It's an either or. And then as we move to the right, you'll find a digital information here readout. And then further to the right, you'll find your throttle ready, which will be a green indicator. Moving down just beneath the throttle ready is a preset button, which allows you to do any type of presets for your pressure throttle governor. And as we look down the large device on the bottom, right to increase, left to decrease, push in the very center for going back to the idle position. The audible alarm is just on the right-hand side here. This device does have the outer edge of the bezel, allowing you to turn right to left to dampen the sound. Let's move now just to the right where you'll find a set of switches. The first at the top is the panel light switch. Just beneath it, you'll find your OK to pump, a green indicator, one of the first things you should check when exiting the cab, along with pressure on the gauge. As we move down, you'll find your pump compartment heater. And then let's move downward to the next section where you'll find all of your discharge pull handles and also gauges. You can see they are color coded and also labeled for each individual discharge. Let's move further down from this location. We'll identify the number 2 and also number 1 passenger side and driver side discharges, and then also your large diameter discharge, which is a wheel valve. In the upper right hand corner, you'll find your tank fill recirculating line. Just to the right, you'll find your engine cooler. This is a twist, not a pull. And then as we move down, you'll find in the blue module area, this is your water tank level indicator. And then as we move down to the very bottom, I would like to point out this warning label regarding pressure hazard. Always open caps and bleeders slowly. They may be under pressure. To the right, you'll find a tank to pump. And then further to the right, you'll find your fire pump primer. It is an air prime. We do have instructions just beneath that for best practices, at least 1,000 RPMs when engaging the fire pump primer. Let's move down from this location. We've got a few placards here. First, starting at the top, this is the manufactured by Pierce test placard. This is from the third party. You have on the left-hand side the associated GPMs. On the right-hand side, the associated RPMs for test pressures for 150, 200, and 250 PSI. Just beneath that, you'll find this warning label that only trained personnel should operate this equipment and only after they received proper training. Down at the very bottom, we'll find all of our color-coded and labeled discharge drains. Just to the right, same area, we're going to find the number 1 driver's side discharge. This is a 2.5-inch discharge. And then to the right, the Pierce logo American flag eagle. This is your pump intake or large diameter pump intake. Moving down to the very bottom, you'll find your driver's side auxiliary inlet. As we move further down, you'll find your pump drain. And then also beneath that, you'll find your manual pump shift. To the left-hand side, once again, you'll find color-coded labeled discharge drains. Let's move back up to the very top here where I'll find a couple labels here. This placard here is regarding the minimum operation maintenance schedule for your vehicle. Coincides with that placard we talked about for the 150, 200, and 250 PSI. Down at the bottom, you can see the Watrous manufacturer is a 1,250 gallon GPM pump. And then to the right, we have some fall hazard information here. As we move down to the body, you'll find a clearance marker light. This is just in front of the rear axle. You'll also find directly over the rear axle a side-facing emergency warning light. And at the very top rear section, you'll find a 360-degree emergency warning light. Let's take a look into the compartments with them in the open position. You'll find 4 total SCBA bottles on this side with retaining straps. You'll also find your DEF 4.5 US gallon tank. It's the blue cap. And then to the right, the silver cap is your ultra low sulfur diesel. Let's take a look in the compartments. You'll find adjustable shelving, LED lighting. Let's take a look at the SCBA compartments. You can see the upper portion has the retaining straps for the bottles. Just beneath that, you'll find your blue DEF cap. To the right, you'll find 2 additional SCBA bottle storage straps and then also your silver your ultra low sulfur diesel. Over the mid compartment, you're going to find a adjustable shelf LED lighting. As we move to the rear, same thing. We have 2 adjustable shelves here and LED lighting. Let's move to the rear of the apparatus where you'll find at the very top your brake, turn, and reverse light. Moving up from that location, you'll find an emergency warning light. Moving further up, you'll find additional rear scene lights. And then all the way up to the very top, we mentioned them earlier. They're on both sides of the vehicle. This is your 360-degree emergency warning light at the rear. And then at the very top, you'll find also additional scene lights. These are also adjustable. Let's go inside this location where we'll find 4 fold-down steps. 1 on the right-hand side with grab handle, and then 3 on the left-hand side to gain access to the top of your vehicle. There's also a 2.5-inch rear discharge at the very rear section on the driver's side. We also have a compartment here, which is where your ladder storage for your ground ladders are. Moving up to the very top, you'll find movable and also removable center dividers for your hose bed. In the very rear on the left side, you'll find your hose bed light. This is a switch activation for your hose bed lights. This is also the driver rear discharge. Once again, a 2.5-inch. We do have a warning label. Once again, caps may be under pressure. As we look inside the roll-up compartment, you'll find an adjustable shelf inside. And as we move to the right, you'll find your ladder compartment housing a 24-foot extension ladder. On the right-hand side is a 14-foot roof ladder. And at the very top, we have a 10-foot folding attic ladder. We also have on the left a 6 and 8-foot pike pole. Let's move around now to the passenger side of the vehicle. Let's first start with the compartments closed. Same configuration and layout as the driver's side. I would like to point out a couple things here. Adjustable shelves throughout the compartments except for the center compartment, and also 2 adjustable shelves in the front compartment. Moving to the center compartment, LED lighting inside this compartment. As we move downward from this location, you'll find that emergency warning light, and then you'll also find on this side 3 SCBA bottle holders with retaining straps. As we move to the front side, you'll find an additional 3 SCBA bottles with retaining straps. Let's move now to the midsection of the pump. Just before we get there, I would like to point out this placard: extremely hot diesel exhaust temperatures. Be cautious where you park your vehicle. As we move to the right, same configuration with the hose compartment at the very top. We have 2 number 1 and number 2 crosslay. We do have panel access here for the passenger side, 2 locations. We also have your cab tilt switch. And then as we move down, you'll find your large diameter pump intake. It is the Pierce American Flag Eagle. And then just to the right, you'll find your green large diameter discharge passenger side. And then you'll also find a 2.5-inch discharge on the passenger side. Down at the very bottom, you'll find discharge drains. And then down in the very bottom section, you'll find a cutout section here for hose storage, which has Velcro straps for securing it. Let's take a look inside, just a quick look. This is inside the pump panel area. This is your access door at the very top. We can see the very top section of the pump. And as we look down to the very bottom, this is your intake relief valve. Let's move back to the pump panel with some close-ups. First, a warning label here regarding pressure hazard. Once again, caps may be under pressure. Be cautious when removing them. And then we'll also find your cab lift. We do have some caution information here. Make sure you check overhead before tilting the cab. And then also be cautious that there is a danger label here regarding the possibility of crush. As we move to the right, we do have instructions here to raise cab and also to lower cab. On the left is the protected switch for raise or lower activation, is on the very far right. Let's take a look at some close-ups here. First, starting with the drains down at the very bottom section. Those are those discharge drains for your large diameter number 2 passenger and number 2 crosslay. Down at the very bottom in the running board is where you'll find that cutout section here. Dry deck material on the very bottom, and also Velcro at the very top for holding that hose in secure. As we move inside to the door panel, you'll find once again affixed to the door panel all of your safety and warning labels. We also have a locking mechanism located in the latch, and on the hinge section, you'll find this red grab handle, allowing you for firefighters to gain in and out of the cab safely. As we look inside, you'll find 2 forward-facing seats nestled close together in the center area with SCBA brackets, and you'll also find 2 in the rear section facing. Let's now move into the officer's area, where you'll find once again affixed to the door panel all of our safety and warning labels. We do also have a locking mechanism in the latch interior. As we move upward, you'll find the manual window controls. As we move to the A-pillar is where you'll find the fill location for your windshield wiper fluid. As we move to the floor, we have 2 foot pedals down at the lower section. We'll go over those in just a moment. Let's go back to the A-pillar for the fill location for your windshield wiper fluid on the right-hand side. As we move downward to the floor level is where we'll find the 2 foot pedals, one for the air horn and one for your electronic siren. Just under the seat of the operator or officer seat, you'll find a compartment. And then as we move to the rear section, or just behind the seat, is where you'll also find your siren control module. Let's move underneath the vehicle now to the rear axle, where you'll find your automatic chains. These are deployed from within inside the cab. As we move to the very rear section of the apparatus, looking forward toward the cab, you'll find your water fill location for top fill. We do have a warning label on this also. As we move to the dunnage area, you'll find your master stream device. It does have stack tips currently on it. And then as we look to the actual device itself, you can see it does have an extend-a-gun, allowing you to raise the gun higher than the level of the side sheets. Moving now to the very front section of the cab. You do have a warning label here regarding do not walk on this area. It is a non-walking surface for your safety. Looking as a quick image to the rear, congratulations, Great Falls, Montana, on your new Pierce Fire apparatus, job number 33952. If you have any questions regarding your apparatus, please contact your Hughes Fire sales representative. Thank you and congratulations.